It's big dog season, and you can't stay still because you want it. Talk that talk, George. You still scraping your plate because you're hungry. Talk that talk.
There's a home flipping business in Chicago that's accused of ruining lives and stealing hundreds of thousands of dollars from everyday people who just wanted to build some generational wealth.
We have no idea where the money is.
How much are we talking about here?
I have lost $169,000.
We are at risk of losing over $200,000.
I'm sorry.
I'll break down exactly what happened. So if you watch HGTV, you know it's all about home flipping, and it looks easy. It looks like it's something very profitable. So for months, we've been looking into a company called iFLIP Chicago, and they do two things. They have a boot camp where they claim to teach you exactly everything you need to know to flip a home. Then they also offer to partner with first-time investors who have a little bit of money and are ready to invest in their own flip. But now 2 new lawsuits accuse iFLIP Chicago of stealing hundreds of thousands of dollars and essentially running a real estate Ponzi scheme. A lot of different types of people signed up for iFLIP Chicago. One of them was an emergency room doctor. Her name was Amira Hamid, and she invested almost $200,000 with iFLIP. But she says she had good reason to trust them.
My name is Ramo Bay, and it's my wife,
Michelle Nicole Bay.
That's Amira's own cousin, Michelle Bay.
Yeah, and who can't trust family?
So Michelle and her husband Ramo Bay run iFLIP Chicago, and for $800, you can sign up for a boot camp with them. Or if you have a little money to invest, you can partner with iFLIP Chicago and do a flip together. That's what a lot of people did. And this company, they claim to offer everything you need to get started. So they give you access to a lender who can give you the money to buy and rehab the home. They identify the home, the perfect home for you to buy and flip. And then they also have a team of contractors that they claim to work with who can help you remodel the home. Finally, they offer to sell the home for you once everything is complete. And the only thing they do is they take 30% of the total profit.
You don't have to worry about any of this stuff because they have all of these relationships.
Now, iFLIP and Ramo posted a lot of stuff online about these flips, about successful projects they were doing. So a lot of people who saw this thought it was a good idea.
if you're interested in actually learning how to flip homes, if you want to learn how to do this for real, iFLIP Chicago Boot Camps is 100% hands-on.
There are even a few realtors who signed up because they saw what Ramo Bay and iFLIP were doing online, and they thought maybe they could learn something.
There were a lot of people who had successfully done flips with him.
One of those realtors is Tatiana Barnett, and she'd actually flipped some properties in Indiana, but she wanted somebody with more experience to help her with her next project. So here's what happened next. Both Tatiana and Amira were found properties that iFLIP thought would be a good fit for them. They were distressed homes on the south side of Chicago. These two homes in particular were in the Woodlawn area. And as you'll see, a lot of the iFLIP properties that are in bad condition right now are also in Woodlawn. So after finding the perfect homes for these two women, iFLIP then wanted them to sign up for a commercial mortgage, which is a really short-term mortgage with high interest rates. And they were gonna get this mortgage and use the money to buy part of the home and also fund the rest of the renovation. But as a condition of getting the mortgage, they had to have Ramo Bay, the owner of iFLIP, sign on to their loans. But they were told that's not very unusual.
It's not something that's unheard of if you don't have a track record of doing, fix and flips with lenders.
A part of the iFLIP package, and one of the reasons a lot of people invest is because they offer full service. So everything from finding the property, getting the lending, and even in this case, giving you a real estate attorney that you can use to review documents as you're going along the iFLIP process. So by this point, iFLIP has identified 2 homes for the women to buy and invest in, and the women are set up to get funding, and all that's left to do is close on the properties and sign a ton of paperwork. But this is a critical point, and this is where they say everything went wrong. So at closing, they had to sign hundreds of pages of documents. It was a really long process. But there were 4 sentences buried in these documents that really came back to bite them in the, There was this really strange cross-collateralization clause in the loans that meant if Ramo was late on any of his loans, the lender would charge what Ramo owed to the loans held by other iFLIP participants like Amira and Tatiana.
The loans then went on to fail. They were never written to succeed. They were predatory loans.
This was never about flipping property. This was about taking loans out to pay a debt that didn't belong to us.
And Ramo had several past due balances.
Hold up, you may be wondering, why would anyone sign an agreement like that? This must be their fault. But both women had hired an attorney that was supposed to look out for them and look out for language like this. But here's the thing, that attorney, he was recommended by iFLIP, and Tatiana says he never even showed up at her closing, while Amira says he never disclosed any of this cross-collateral language. Now, he's also being sued along with iFLIP. Now, this is the part the lawyers are calling a Ponzi scheme. You can see on the women's loan statements that they're being charged interest for other loans that don't belong to them. There are thousands of dollars in these cross-interest charges, and they were all transferred from loans that Ramo was late on. Now, time eventually ran out on these short-term loans, and it left people in a really bad spot. We found at least 7 iFLIP properties are in foreclosure right now, including Tatiana's. A lot of these homes have been gutted and they're unlivable, they're vacant, and they've been that way for a long time because iFLIP participants could never get the money from their loans to actually fund the renovation or rehab. Now these unfinished homes are just an eyesore in the South Chicago communities where they are. And again, a lot of them are in the Woodlawn neighborhood.
It's an eyesore. I hope something gets to be done.
It's disgusting that this is 2 years later and we have no answer. We have more questions than answers.
Now, we ran this story last week.
A bad business model or a Ponzi scheme? That's what several people who invested money with a popular Chicago home flipping business are asking themselves tonight.
And right before it aired, we actually heard from iFLIP's owner, Ramo Bey. And he says he's actually a victim in all of this too. He says that language that allowed his loan payments to go to other accounts wasn't disclosed to him. And now he says he's going to go after the lender that is causing all of this damage. Now, it's important to note that we know from emails Ramo had at least 20 loans with this lender, and he also had his own real estate attorney helping him with iFLIP. The loan company told me this cross-collateralization language was standard on all their loans. So it's kind of unclear to us why Ramo is saying he had no idea about this. Ramo is currently in Atlanta, but he says he'll be happy to come back and do a sit-down interview with us. So stay tuned for that. But in the meantime, Ramo is still holding investment seminars on Facebook, teaching people how to invest and how to get funding for their next flip.
Good morning. Today is Tuesday, June 4th. The year is 2024. That was a very interesting news article of some young people who were taken advantage of. And one being a cousin in a real estate flip investment scheme. Every time I would log into Facebook or Instagram, whatever, there's all these people out here giving financial advice about how they can build houses, how they can help you grow your wealth, how they got some type of scam going on. Be very leery about these people with these boot camps who are building these multi-million-dollar homes, who are offering to help you do what they're doing. It's all just a scam, y'all. And every day I log into Facebook, I get messages from people who are offering to help. I used to build and renovate houses. And let me tell you something, y'all, that's not an easy industry. Building and renovating houses, buying a home, renovating it, and putting it back on the market is not as easy as people think. You never know what type of issues you're gonna run into with that house. You have to have cash flow to pay for the issues that you do run into. You don't know how soon you'll be able to sell that house. There's so many variables that go wrong with renovating and flipping houses. People make it seem like it's so easy, but it's not that easy at all. Sometimes it's better to renovate a house and hold it and rent it if the numbers work out. But definitely don't go into no investment scheme or scam with someone who's supposed to renovate the house. They're going to handle all you doing is signing a piece of paper, signing your signature, and they're going to renovate the house, and they're going to do all this stuff, and you will be paid X, Y, Z, and they will get paid. It just doesn't work out that way, y'all. It just never does. So when I first saw this report last week, I read it and I was like surprised about the cross collateralization part because they didn't read the documents in the loan. I thought we went through all this with the housing collapse years ago, where everybody was now known to read those documents and see what's in these loans before you sign your signature. You got to read them yourself. I've gone to closings where I said, "Y'all, let me read these documents before we sign." I sat there in the back office by myself just reading every page of it. And in this case, these loans had hundreds of pages, they said. Why would a loan have this much paperwork? Yeah, they were scamming these people out of their good credit and hard-earned money. I've seen so many con artists like this run around Atlanta, it just doesn't make sense. And this story is based out of Chicago. Figure that one out. But now they live here in Atlanta renovating houses. You gotta be very careful. I've seen so many stories of people involved in real estate trying to make a decent living, working with these investors, and they lose everything because they're all just con artists. They just scam people. Even when I was renovating this house here, I worked with a contractor who did some very unscrupulous things with my money. And I had known this man for years. And I said, you know what? That was the worst mistake ever fucking with him. Because I trusted him. But I see now you can't trust nobody no more. I could have just did it on my own. Luckily, I jumped in here and realized what was going on and finished this project on my own. Because he showed doing some funny money. He was what he said, what he told me he was going to do, and what he actually did didn't happen. And I've known this man for years, decades. Renovating a home and flipping. If you've never done one before, always start out with a small project. Get your own contractors that you inspected their work. Pull all your permits. Yeah, it's a lot of work that goes into renovating these houses. A lot of work. It's not as easy as people think. That's why I don't really no longer do that. I'm not great. The houses are too expensive in this market. They're high as hell. The cost of renovation is very expensive. At the end of the day, you have to put the house back on the market to sell it, and everything's priced marked up so high. You paid so much for the house. You paid so much for the materials. You got to sell it for an astronomical price just to theoretically break even. Where's the profit? Unless you got the house for dirt cheap. You got to go out and steal a house practically from somebody. I don't know. It just, I saw that report and I hate that happened, but there are thousands of people who get suckered and drawn into these types of scams and taken advantage of because they just don't know no better. You have all the education in the world and you still can get bamboozled by somebody. Prime example, Donald Trump. Bamboozling millions of people. Even now, people still support Donald Trump. They've been bamboozled by his food. So I'm like, what is so special about Donald Trump? What did he do the first 4 years? Nothing. Y'all gonna give him another 4 years to do nothing? More chaos and more confusion? Come on now. But, yeah, people just seem to be naive about a lot of stuff. There are a lot of narcissists out here too, who manipulate people. And I can imagine this couple mentioned her cousin and his husband sweet talked her into this deal and manipulated these women and other investors. And they trusted these people would do the right thing. Unbeknownst to me, these motherfuckers was broke and needed them to sign on the dotted line so they can suck as much money out of them to cover their other projects. So, lesson learned. I hope everybody watching this video has lesson learning, learn lessons from this debacle these women have gotten themselves into. They may have to file bankruptcy. Great credit, good income, oh, they in trouble. Because bankruptcy court ain't gonna look too friendly on that. Do it whenever you agree to something like that, to get involved in real estate, do it yourself. Buy the house yourself, get your own loan, get your own crews, get your own people, do everything on your own. If you have somebody in the middle, you better believe that person's gonna be trying to steal your money. Don't trust anybody when it comes to this. People have constantly hit me up asking about contractors. And could I refer them to anybody? I've been reluctant to do so, and let me tell you why. Although the contractors I use did okay work with me, I was here to supervise. I was here supervising. I don't know what they're going to be like, what type of work they're going to do for somebody else. And because I had to stand over these workers, literally stand over them and demand that they get this work done. Some of you might be at work, paid for materials. It's just ridiculous. I'd be very, very careful. If you're going to flip houses and do that type of investment, at least be able to do some of the work yourself. That way you know it's going to get done. You know what your labor cost is going to be. You know how you want it done, if you can. If you can't do it yourself and you don't know how to do it, so I probably would not go down that path. Because dealing with these contractors, dealing with these builders, it ain't fun. Ask me how I know. You can't trust nobody in this construction industry. Nobody. And it's a shame that this was her own cousin. There are more videos to that report, because I have been following this for a minute. But when you're on Facebook or Instagram and you see all these people who offer and all these, they have the scams. They have these scams involving real estate, workout plans. Join my group and we'll show you who's going to win a prize. Whoever, loses the most weight. Now, it's all scams. It's just all scams, y'all. They all just want money and want to scam you out your money. I see all these scams up and down Facebook and I just look at it and say, wow. And people are really falling for this mess. An iFLIP boot camp. Where they go in there and learn how to flip houses. Well, one lady said she had already did some flips on her own. What she needed to go over there for? Could there be, and are there some people out there who are honest and legit and can show you how to flip a house and do it the correct way without draining your pockets and stealing your money? I can imagine there's some people out there who could do that. Not a lot. Because right about now, people are greedy, greedy, greedy. It's all about the almighty dollar. And they're unscrupulous. You know, some crazy people out there. I'd be very careful. Very, very careful. You got these attorneys stealing your money, doctors and dentists stealing your money, all these professional people. Hold on. Sorry about that minor interruption. I'm still finishing a few details over here in my house. Anyway, a little short video. I just wanted to talk about that scenario Talk about that scenario that took place there with those investors. Be careful, y'all. Just don't trust anybody out there these days. Anyway, today is Tuesday, it's June 4th, the year is 2024. I'm out. I'm about to take these dogs out. It's early in the morning. I'm out of here. Nice day.